Would you like to find out some cool things about the color white? Well, stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back, and I'm so glad you're here to hang out and talk about neat interior design topics. In this video, we're talking about the color white. So we'll be talking about color theory and the attributes of the color white and what to think about when we're using that in our interiors. So if that sounds fun to you, then please stick around. And I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. So let's get started. White is considered a neutral color. So that has a couple different meanings. So neutral having to do with that we can't mix different colors together to get white. And that's the same with black. And so when we go buy something that's white or, white paint colors, there's different variations of white, but it always is something that we just go buy. We can't mix green and blue together to get white. And the other part of neutral is just having to do with that it's a neutral color that, it's kind of just can go with anything. And, I think that's one reason why we like it so much because, right, we can pair any color with white and it's going to look great. And we love white because it's light and bright and clean and refreshing looking. And it goes with any style. It goes really well if you just want to have a very classic look, but also it, provides a really sleek look for a very contemporary style. And white provides a lot of contrast. So because it's naturally very bright and light, it can provide a lot of contrast, especially when you're using darker colors with it. And white is the brightest, lightest color that we have. It has the highest light reflective value, which refers to how much light is reflected off of a color. So this has a lot to do with paint. And, when we're buying paint, there's always this number having to do with the paint color to let us know how much light is being reflected off of that color. So when we want to have the most light and the brightest room, white is the way to go. The opposite of that would be black, which, absorbs light and has very little, if any, light reflected off of it. And then there are a lot of really interesting things about the color white that we can notice about it when we're using white. And a lot of these actually apply to all of the colors. But the cool thing about white is that we can maybe see some of these subtle variations a little bit more just because the nature of this light and bright color. One of the things that we may notice is like if you go to the paint store and you go, I want to paint my walls white. Well, there's all these different variations of white. And this has to do with what is the original white color that's being used and the pigment that's being used to create those paint colors. And, white can, be kind of warm, where maybe it has a more yellowy undertone, or it can maybe even have a pinkish undertone, or something cooler where it has a grayish undertone. And so when you're choosing a paint color or just choosing the color white, there's going to be some variations there. Even when you're looking for white tiles or even white towels and white bedding, there's always going to be this variation of what type of white. Most of the time it's just having to do with if it's a warmer look or if it's a cooler look. And so that kind of is a cool thing to notice and to work with. And then the other thing to think about when we're thinking about white, but also with other colors, is just how much other colors influence each other. So there's always this relationship between color and light, but also color and other colors. And we can see these subtle variations in how other colors influence the color white just because of the nature of white. We can see that more easily than maybe with other colors. And it's interesting, say, if you have white sheets and white bedding and you have an orange painted room, well, just by the nature of having those two colors next to each other, that orange is going to impact how those sheets look. That those sheets are going to either pick up some of the yellowy and orangey color in the sheets, or they may even go the opposite way. If those sheets are naturally kind of blue, they have more of a bluish undertone, and it's up against an orange wall, that would be called simultaneous contrast, which means that complementary colors will bring out more of each other's complementary colors. So on a color wheel, orange and blue are complementary colors. They're opposite each other on the color wheel. And so, there's all these interesting things that go on with color. And with white, we can really see those subtle variations. And it's just something cool to notice and think about. And lighting is another, factor that influences all colors. And lighting throughout the day, lighting is, always changing, and especially seasonally and day to day. And then especially at night, when we use artificial lighting, that always affects color and how that color looks and whether it warms it up or cools it down. Color is affected by light throughout the day, and it's just something kind of neat to take notice of. And each type of material will display color in a different way because of the texture and the materials that it's made out of. So if you have, say, a white kitchen, and you paint the cabinets white, and the counter is white, and the flooring is white, everything's white, everything is going to look different just because those materials are all reflecting light in a different way. And it all ties together and makes sense, but it also adds some variation. So, if you want everything to be white and you have these really cool dining chairs and the table and the walls, everything is going to look cohesive because it's all white. But there's going to be some variation there just because of the nature of the materials. So it's kind of, just kind of keep that in mind. And, having an all white room is, super sleek looking and clean looking and light and bright. What I would keep in mind is, just to make sure you have some variety in there so that everything doesn't look the same. So, even just adding, a contrasting color, even black, to, a light fixture, or, in your countertops using marble that has, grays and whites and blacks in it. Just making sure that, when you look in your room and you're planning that whole thing out, that there's some variation there, that our eyes don't get bored, and just enjoy our rooms even more, that there's some variety and balance and, a way of creating a cohesive look that's interesting to us. So take a moment in your day to kind of notice what happens with the color white, whether it's in your place or when you're out and about. And, does it have some interesting things happening because of the lighting and how it's kind of, creating subtle changes throughout the day? Just take note of those things and just have some fun noticing that. And share what you find in the comments. And I want to thank you again for watching. And if you like this video, please press the like button. And I hope you're doing well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.